Hey everyone, Saturday's Child here. Yeah, I'm actually making a video that's not Minecraft because, not really into it. Right now we're on Wattpad, and I'm going to read the Sassy 5 as seriously as I can. Now, for the sake of my mother, if it says any quote-unquote bad words, I'm just gonna skip over it. You'll see it on the screen. And we'll read as much as I can. Seriously, without laughing. Alright, let's go. Okay. The Sassy 5. Paul, you look dashing today, Nancy said as she walked out of her bedroom. Her recent husband, Paul McCartney, sat at the coffee table, drinking tea with his pinky finger up. Shut up, said Paul. He rolled his eyes and got up. Nancy observed his fuchsia robe. What are you looking at, girlie? Paul said, noting the fact that Nancy had been staring at his robe. He raised his eyebrows. His fabulous eyebrows. Now you're probably wondering why Paul is mistreating his wife, the woman he chose to marry a little more than a year ago. Paul McCartney is a very sassy man, so sassy, in fact, that he formed an organization with 4 other men called the Sassy 5. Paul was their leader. Nancy looked over at Paul, frightened. She whimpered and ran back into her room. She knew she couldn't divorce him. She would be hated all around the world, just like Paul's previous wife, Heather Mills. Where are you going? Paul said, smoothing out his robe. Get back here. I want my breakfast. Nancy slowly walked out of her room once again. She stood in the doorway, awkwardly as usual. What would you like, dear? She asked him. I'd like some sass, please. Paul answered, his head slightly tilted to the right. What? Said a confused Nancy. Sass, that's what I eat for breakfast, darling. It's what makes me Paul snapped his fingers and made a hand gesture that suggested for Nancy to go fetch him his sass. Nancy didn't really know how to make sass. She went over to the kitchen, and after standing there for 5 minutes, she quietly asked her husband, "How do I make sass?" "Oh my God, Nancy," Paul said angrily yet sassily. "How do you not know this?" He stood up, his face almost matching his robe. "I'm leaving right now. If you don't know how to whip up a simple plate of sass, well, I just cannot stay here anymore." He walked out the door, his hand on his hip. He's wearing his pajamas in his robe. Where are you going, hon? Nancy was about to cry. She didn't think that Paul's sassiness would take over this much. I'm going to visit my sassy friends, Paul said. At least they can prepare a nice sassy meal. He swung out his leg, which was his signature sassy move, and slammed the door. Nancy went into her room and wept. She would never be as sassy as Paul. Chapter 2. Okay, this is Paul's point of view, I'm sure. Whatever. Oh my gosh, ads. I'll just ignore them. Alright. I walked in a slow but sassy manner to the restaurant doors. I was meeting my 4 sassy friends at... Oh, whoa, I read that wrong. Oops. John, Jimmy, Pete, and Mike. We had some really sassy times together. We enjoyed picking on my wife Nancy and how she doesn't know how to make sass. She was so annoying. Annoyed or annoying? Is that supposed to be that? Whatever. And not the least bit intelligent. I must admit, I married her out of pity. I felt terribly bad for her. She was never going to be as sassy as my friends and I. Okay, you know what? This is annoying me. Here comes Paul! I heard the voice squeal. I laughed and flipped my hair. I took a seat down next to John, who was on his phone, updating his status. John Deacon, I swear. I did so as well. Breakfast with the Breakfast with the boys, I typed while my thumbs moved rapidly across the keyboard. So, boys, what's new? I set my phone down and crossed my legs under the table. God, it felt nice to finally get away from Nancy and be with my fab friends. Mike and Jimmy were sitting close together, whispering words in each other's ear. Probably some gossip they had heard. Pete was checking on his nails as usual. Townsend, Smith, Page. I'm sorry. And John's eyes roamed around the room. He was probably growing impatient with our waiter. What's taking them so long? God! I heard him whisper to himself. Oh, that was yelling. Oops. The waiter finally showed up with his notepad. Showed up with his notepad and pen. Hello, I will be your waiter for today. What will you be having this evening? Whoa, time skip, I guess. He smiled politely at us. Oops, I did the sassy voice. John rolled his eyes and spoke up. We'll have 5 bowls of sass soup, along with some sass crackers. Oh, and 4 Diet Dr. Sasses. And that will be for all? Our waiter asked nicely. Well, what did I say? Did I specifically say me? You are so stupid. There will be no tip in your future. John snapped his fingers and threw the menus on the ground. We all snickered at our foolish waiter. People these days. John rolled his eyes. Imagine if Nancy... I can't even read this. Jimmy said, flipping his hair. Oh my God, Jimmy. So true. Mike nodded and laughed. His hat's perf. You might be wondering why my friends and I are being so mean to Nancy. We had one good reason. She was a filthy peasant. I would rather marry Ringo's nose. I mean, it's large enough to be its own person. What about Pete's nose? Okay, so I was sitting on my throne. On my throne. Waiting for Nancy to get up and make me some sass. And next thing I know, she doesn't know how to make a simple plate of sass. Like, seriously? Get out of here! She's so pathetic. I shook my head. She didn't know how to make sass? The boys whispered in unison. Nope. Ugh, how stupid. Pete rolled his eyes. Pete began to speak again. We should go shopping. They're taking forever just to make sass soup. God, some people are so unbelievable. We all nodded our heads in agreement. I need some eyeliner anyway, John said. Don't they take to like chapter 15 to get the eyeliner? I mean, what? John said while getting up to reach the back of his chair for his coat. I'm with you, girl, Pete replied with a sassy tone. This is going to be one sassy mall trip. Chapter 3, Mike's point of view. Now Smith. Such Texas. Oops. Chapter 3. Paul snapped his fingers, which meant we had to leave the restaurant, but with sass. We all put our hands on our hips and made our signature sassy poses. Mine was sticking out my hip. Aren't I just fabulous? We all decided that we would walk to the mall. We didn't want to become fat like Nancy. Ew, that's so mean. Nancy's so pretty. Oh my God, Mikey, Jimmy whispered in my ear. Look at Pete. I looked over at him, making sure my hand didn't leave my sassy hip. He was checking his nails. Ew, why can't he just accept the fact he has ugly nails? They're like teenage girls. I whispered back. Pete's nails were just the opposite of sassy. They were stupid. I can't. We finally arrived at the mall. Paul entered and swung out his leg. He flipped his hair and snapped his fingers, and we all sassily walked around, making sassy faces at random peasants. Totes fun. Paul, can we just get my eyeliner already? John whined and flipped his long, sassy hair. Oh my God, John, just shut up. We're almost at Sephora. Paul said with so much sass that John began to cry. Paul, oh my God. Paul laughed, flipping his hair and swerving around. John followed anyway. Can somebody say fifth wheel? So, boys, any gossip? Paul squealed. He noticed John on his phone. Get off your phone, Paul said, and John rolled his eyes. I was dying to tell Paul this piece of gossip. I started talking, not caring if anyone else wanted to talk first. Okay, so I got this text from Mickey that said, "Hey, like, who does he think I am?" I said sassily. I waited for a response. "Speak up, you retards!" I screeched. Speak up! Oh my god. Mickey. I cannot even, Jimmy said finally, both hands on his hips and his eyebrows raised. Right, I answered. Jimmy was like, my bestie. He totally got me. Mike, honey, I have something so much better. Yeah, I'm gonna just, oh. That's perfect. What is this? But Roger's such a sweetie. I'm sorry. He sounded like he was so done. Bestie Jimmy started squealing. Okay, so Robert, Percy, no, bought this new cute dress, but it looked so bad on him, and I lied and said it looked good on him. I thought everything looked good on Robert Plant. Like, whoa. That is called, I said. Oh. Pete laughed as Sassy laughed and checked his nails. Once again, Pete started to talk. I'm not even gonna read the rest of this. Maybe. I'll just kind of skip it. Yeah. Oh my god, Keith. Mooney! I wouldn't blame him. Suddenly, Paul's stupid phone interrupted our gossiping. Oh my god, what? Paul said as he picked up his phone. I leaned in closer to see who he was talking to. Ew, shut up, Nancy, Paul whined. Ew, we all said. Oh my god, I don't care. You're sassless. Sassless. Paul yelled. Oh my god, I cannot believe stupid fat Nancy. She's not fat. Was putting Paul through all this. It's ruining his sass. I grabbed the phone from him. Nancy, if you say one more thing to Paul, I will come over and whip you to Texas. I yelled into the phone. It's Paul's phone. Please, Mike, you're overreacting, Nancy moaned. Oh my god, stop telling me what to do. I'll make sure he goes no. I screamed. I'm sorry, Nancy cried. Please stop yelling at me. Oh, save your tears. I hung up and threw Paul's phone into a nearby fountain, making sure there was extra sass in my throat. Mike, how dare you do that to my phone? Paul snapped his fingers and flipped his hair. Your phone was ugly anyway, honey, I said, and walked forward, my hand still on the hip. They all followed me. Wow, I'm cool. We're only on chapter 3. Okay, this is gonna turn into a series, and since I'm nearing towards the end of this, I guess I'll end this here. So, yeah, we'll read chapter 4 to however long we get there, or whatever. I don't know. Yeah, this is Saturday's Child, and I'm gonna stop now. Bye.